Give me 1 second and I'll be on. Doing some preliminary stuff real quick. Give me 1 second and I'll be on. Anyway, so turn this music down. Hopefully everybody's having a good day today. I know it's been a while since I've done a stream, so I wanted to get on and just show you my process for how I work on some of the Big Head Charles assets. And what I do for these is I'll work on some, like, do a variety of different sketches to work on assets to build, my library for Big Head Charles, either for a book or for animation. I got some animation tests that I've done as well, and I'll walk you through those in some other time. But today, what I wanted to do was just show you just my process of how I create some of these things, and just prepping ahead and making things ready for you to start building upon. I call it the lazy man's approach or developer's approach to building these assets, and I'll walk you through that here in a second. do me a favor, if you will, just like or share to some other rooms or groups that may find this information beneficial. But I'll jump right into it. I'll take my face off the screen. I don't know if you need to see that, but I'll so I can zoom in on the artwork and show you how I actually set up my layers. And I'm using Procreate for this. All my drawing on the computer I pretty much do using Procreate. I have my Apple Pencil here, if you can see, and this is where the majority of my work starts. I also use like After Effects, rarely use Adobe Animate. I'm looking into Character Animator to do some of the voice work. But anyway, I'll show you the process and get right to it. Anyway, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Let's get into it. So first, I'm going to show you how I set up my layers. And for this particular one, what I do, like I said, I take a developer's approach. I actually have a head. If you can see this head right there in the middle, and I have other angles, as you can see here as well. I've done turnaround shots of my characters, so that way I can build upon it very easily. And up at the top here, I have my reference, just so I can just keep in mind, just some of the aspects of them. This model has changed since I created the one up in the top left, but it's still a good reference for me to understand how I want Big Head Charles to move. And what I'm going to do is just render one of these so you can see how that works. Uh-oh. I think my pencil died on me. Oh, no. So anyway, I'm going to have to stop this stream because I can't charge my pencil. Here, you know what I'll do? I'll take it off of that and put it on me. So that way I can talk to you as I'm doing this. So anyway, apparently my pencil needs to be connected. And I'll double check that. Yeah, my pencil just happened to die. I've been using it for quite some time. But anyway, so what I want to do is just, like I said, give you a walkthrough of how I set up my assets and how I build my stuff. I've been pretty busy lately, and so I'm trying to figure out what my schedule will be for streaming for future purposes. Let me turn on the light since it's me. And anyway, so that's what I'll be talking you guys through and how I build my assets, how I go about doing my work. I have quite a few different workflows for the different projects that I'm working on. This one in particular will just be my updates in terms of how I render my characters. I won't do any coloring today. I'll just show you how I do my line work, how I set that up, and also how I go about making quick sketches to where it's not a burden, because I'll work on about 3 or 4 different projects a day minimum. And so when I do that, I got to have my workflow set up in a way that allows me to jump from one project to another. It also just keeps me engaged. I don't call it ADD, but I like to work on a variety of things just to keep my interest peaked. And I always make sure it stays in the same thing. So most of my projects that I work on are in the same vein. So you want to make sure that you do that. Make sure that you're not overextending yourself by when you take on new projects. Make sure it fits within the realm or the genre of work that you currently do. So that's what I do to keep myself active, and also just to keep the juices flowing and keep the creativity going. I'll work on a variety of projects at any given time. Today, what I'm going to do is, for my one post, I created a Big Head Charles page. And so I'll be updating that roughly every day during the week, but not on the weekend. It's when I spend time with my family, observe the Sabbath, that kind of stuff. But every day during the week, I'll be updating my Big Head Charles page as well as my Life Space page on Instagram with different content. And again, it's just me. I figure I work on my stuff every day. I work on my craft every day. Hey, what's up, Dietrich? I work on my stuff every day. And so I I'm just showing you some of that workflow. Of course, the projects, I just did a project that's NDA, so I can't show you any of that or any of the behind the scenes on that. I wish I could because I enjoyed the process. I created a poster, uh, and I would love to show you that. Maybe eventually I will. But anyway, just my workflow on a daily basis. I want to, just give you some insight on to, how you two can get started on this stuff. Sometimes, you see people doing work and it seems like it's far away. So my goal and my purpose is just to give everybody insight on how the work gets done, how those things transpire, how it's created. I would love to, walk you through. I've done some videos in the past of where I just created something from scratch. Those videos tend to take a little longer, where I take you from beginning to end. And I may just do some classes for that because I already do the work anyway. So I figure I may, set it up in a more structured way so people can learn how to do this stuff on their own. Of course, you always want to work with other people. Many hands make light work. But again, you just want to make sure that, you're setting yourself up for success. And that means, having stuff easily available so you can access. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, but you always want to make sure that you set yourself up to do your work very easily. So when I come and sit down, I can begin work immediately. I have my setup, and maybe I'll give you a view of my workstation. It's really simple. I have my laptop right here. I have my iPad to my right, and I have my mouse in the middle, so that way I can reach everything. And I got my screens in front of me. But I typically work on my iPad, and I use my screens for reference. So I can, if I'm trying to figure out a difficult pose, sometimes I'll look at reference, I'll look at people, I'll get on Pinterest, I'll get on, Google, you go to some sites, a whole variety of different things just so I can wrap my mind around the positioning. Sometimes I'll even record myself. I've been doing that lately, especially when I start working on animation. I'll, record myself doing the movements or doing the talking just so I can get those, nuances of how to go about it. Give me 1 second. Let me pull this back up. Okay, there we go. Let me get this on the other screen here. Give me 1 second. So so for me to stream, I have to set up my iPad on my screen. So I have two screens in front of me. And so I have to set up my iPad. I have to connect it to it so I can stream it to you guys so you can see. Anyway, I'll get back to that right now, actually. Let me make this full screen. Let me share with you guys. And again, sorry for that. My pencil died on me. So hopefully you can see the screen now. And again, what I'm going to do is just show you my workflow on how I knock out sketches pretty quickly. I created a separate file. I have a larger file that has a ton of other characters in it for the Big Head Charles series. Probably got about close to 40 images in that one, separate images of the different characters, just really getting their attitude down and focusing on that. And what I'll do is zero in on one of these. I'm thinking one of the top two images here. I like this image right here. Whoops. I like this image. Let me open up a layer. Sorry about that. I like this image right here. So I'll probably do this one, but I just want to show you my layer structure just so you can get an idea of how this works. And actually, you know what? I'll create a quick sketch just so you guys can see my workflow before I actually bang out one of these. So I'll close these. Actually, I'll open these layers first. So as you can see, I have different groupings, and I'm gonna close these, and I'll open it up, and you can see the different layers in these groupings. And I'm just clicking through them just so you can see what's going on, and I'll actually show you the process here in a second. And so what I'll do, I usually will have a duplicate head. And again, I work like a developer, which means that I try not to do more work than what is necessary. And for this particular pose, I actually have, let me close the one under it out. And what I'll do is just drag this into my poses. And I have like I said, a 360 turnaround of Charles's head, so that way when I like start to animate or even create new images, I can see what his head looks like in a 360 view. And so what I'll do when I'm thinking about doing my sketches, let me choose a better pen here. You can see I got a lot of brushes, and I just made my own brushes for some of this stuff. I'll use this one. Let's see. Okay. I'll use that. Let me change it to black or dark. And so what I'll do is when I'll start with the head, and then it's like, okay, let me come up with a position. I'll reposition the head. I'll do something like that. And then I'll come in. I'm just going to scribble. Hold on. Whoops. And I'll create another layer first. So let me create another layer, and then I'll come over here. And then so I'm just really just laying this out. And what I'm doing right here is just a smear frame. So if I was to animate this, I can see this is like him reaching back. Whoops. Let me select the freehand one. This is him reaching back because his head's getting off balance. And so I'll do something like this, right? I'm not looking at any reference right now, but if I was, I would. So I would make a quick smear frame. And then also what I would do is come in here, and this is how I made the other ones. Actually, let me increase that. And I'll just color. I'm just coloring over his eyes. So you can see there's another layer right here, and I'm just drawing on top of that. And so, whoops, I closed it out. Sorry about that. Moving too fast for my own good. And I'll just color over top of that so I don't damage the layer underneath, right? Because I want this head for reference, and also so I can make sure that is to scale, and I'll reposition the body as needed. I think this body might be a little too long for Big Head Charles, but I can change that later. And then all I'll do is just come in here and I'll just draw over the top, right? I'll just come back in this layer. Let me pick my dark again. And then, actually, you know what? I'll make him looking back like he's about to fall, right? Right now, it looks like he's happy, but I'll change that too. And I'll just keep just messing with this stuff until I get it the way I want it. And so I'll just come in and color over his mouth. And again, all I'm doing is just really just sketching and scribbling just to get the energy down. So that would be him looking back. He's about to fall. Maybe add some wobblies there. And so this is what I'll use as a basis to go in and start cleaning up to where it's rendered the way I want it to be. Let me just go ahead and close this. I'm gonna group it. Whoops. Group that. Whoops. Undo that. I'll just group this so I can close it. And then the pose, I said, this is the pose I wanted to do. I'm going to duplicate this, and then I'm just going to drag it to the top. And this is my workflow inside of Procreate, so you guys know. And what I'm going to do is just drag him here. I'll close that. And I'm going to flatten that actually. And so I'm just going to zoom in here. And what I usually do before I do the cleanup is I just go in, and this is the time that I work on uh, proportions, right? Because if I want to, get this right, I want to, scale it up. Actually, I'll just lighten this layer. Typically, I'll just add another layer on top, but this time I'm gonna just lighten the layer. I'll get my red here just for myself. Um, Let me lower this pen size. And I like these proportions already. I mean, in terms of his arms, I'll clean up his hands. Obviously, they look a little wonky, but I'll just come in here and just do my sketching over top. Try to figure out the proportions. And then also, I think his legs may be a little too long. So I'll just come in. As you can see, I keep it real loose. And okay, I'll loop it up more. And again, I keep it real loose, right? Because the whole purpose is to make sure that you maintain the energy of your drawing. Yeah, and so thanks, Dietrich. I appreciate that. I just throw that up there so you guys can see what he was saying. But yeah, so also remember, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. And so all I'm doing right now is just coming through and just making it proportional the way I want it, right? And one thing that I started to do recently was um, start stretching Big Head Charles out, like making it more cartoony because he's a cartoon. So why not push the limits, right? He already has a gigantic head. So you might as well push the limits to what he can do in terms of his attributes, right? So as you can see, I made the hand smaller, made it more to scale as what it usually is. Um, and the image up here I have in my reference, I'm kind of going away from that style. And the reason being is because I started realizing I was like, okay, kid's a cartoon, make him more loose and fun instead of so rigid, right? Because sometimes the hard part that I run into for myself is that I'm so used to like doing design and things like that where everything is supposed to be super clean and tight, or at least that's the way I like to make stuff. And so I have to, get out of my own way and have fun with the designs. So let me change that. You can see it looks real crazy. And another quick way you can do hands is to do the mitt, right? And basically the mitt is just like it sounds. It's like the mitt that you have for whoops for your gloves. And then so all I'm doing right now is just getting the proportions the way I want them. And in this phase of the artwork, I always make sure that I understand what the underdrawing is, because I don't want to start detailing and not knowing what details I want to include in this. So I always do go back over my sketches. So sometimes I'll go over my sketches several times, like sometimes even more than that. I'll do like maybe 5 underdrawings until I get it the way I want it. Yeah, and also, would you guys be interested in me showing you like some of my animation process as well? I won't do it on this video, but for future reference, I need to know, what you guys want to see, because otherwise, I'll be posting what I want to post or what's convenient to post, rather more so than what I want to post. And so, anyway, One thing that I still think about when I design this character is if I want to change his clothes. You know, do I want to keep him in this same blue outfit, right? Um, so I think that's good enough for me to continue on and render. And so this is again, I keep my process really simple so that I can focus on improving it when I clean my line. So what I'll do next is create another layer. I'll actually lighten that layer. I just need to lighten it enough to where I can see it. Just think about it almost like if you ever gotten a tattoo where they do the stencil. They'll put the stencil on your body. I basically my underdrawings are a stencil for the final creation. So just think of it that way for all of you that do tattoos. Whoops, I created another layer for no reason. Let me make this black. I'm gonna change my pen. Let me see if this is the thickness I want. Um, and also, typically for Big Head Charles, I don't have an outline. I've been going back and forth on whether or not I want his art to have an outline. I haven't so far. Well, I in this the reference image you can see as an outline. Typically, I don't give him one, so I'm still going back and forth on that in terms of making them stand out from the background, that kind of stuff. Anyway, and all I'm going to do now is just start inking, or what I call inking. And the outline really doesn't matter right now because it doesn't matter in terms of the thickness and that kind of stuff because I'll probably for now not give him one. But this sets me up to do uh, my cleanup later. So you always have to have the outline, or at least for me, in terms of the way I create my characters so I can do my color fills and those kinds of things. The thing that I like about using Procreate is doing color fills is real simple, especially if you do your line work early. It's not to say it's not simple in Photoshop or anything like that, but I just like the workflow inside of Procreate personally. And all I'm doing is just going over the line work, not adding any details just yet. And if you can see, when I hold this pen in place, then it gives me like somewhat of a shape tool inside of Procreate. I'm just taking my time going over the lines. Like I say, if you guys have any questions, definitely let me know. I'll definitely be sure to answer those. On a side note, have you any of you seen the Dave Chappelle skit he just launched on Netflix? I mean, not on Netflix, but Instagram. I'm assuming it'll be on Netflix eventually. It's pretty good. I just watched it before I came on. But anyway, again, like I said, just going over this real smooth, taking my time. When I do inking, I take my time. When I'm doing scribbling, what I call scribbling or like a rough sketch, I try to throw it down as quickly as possible, keep the energy, that kind of stuff. Okay. So what I'll do typically here is just turn that off. Even turn that off, look at my shapes, make sure they're clean. Come back. Now I'll just go over the head shape. And Charles's head is so smooth in terms of like his circulature and all of that stuff that I always make sure that I just use a pre-drawn image because I went through the trouble of cleaning it up to begin with. So I don't necessarily want to do that again. And again, this is just my approach, just so I can bang out a whole lot of work. It's currently the majority of the work I'm doing by myself. I have got some people that are coming on to help me with it. But you want to work smart so that you can get your projects done, right? So I've been working on Big Head Charles for quite some time. Just really trying to figure out what I want to do with it. I think I'm in a place where I know in terms of been writing scripts, been redesigning the character to fit within certain genres. I've done different, like I said, different designs. So I would show you some of those, but not right now because I don't want to show you anything that I'm not supposed to show you in my folders right now because of legalities. As you can see, just taking my time to do the outline. I'm not worried about it being entirely perfect. Sometimes I try to make it imperfect because I don't want it looking too stiff. Like that was crazy. That was a crazy line. And in Procreate, like I said, if you hold down the the stylus as you draw, then you can manipulate the shapes, which is a very neat tool that I like. It's somewhat like a vector program, but it's not vector at all. I wish it was because then I would utilize. I would be able to skip a whole lot of steps. Uh, I've used Illustrator on the iPad, but I don't like it so far. I'm not used to it. Um, if I get used to it, then I may actually start using it more because when I do my animations, I make all my final character work vector just to save on size. But anyway, I'm almost done. I wanted to keep this simple and quick. Always zoom in on my lines, make sure everything's tight. And you can see I twirl my canvas quite a bit. And I do that just to make it comfortable on me. That's another reason why I like the iPad, but I know other uh, hardware can do it similar to like a Cintiq. I've been thinking about getting one, but I wasn't sure. I have a friend that's been trying to convince me to do it, but I like my current workflow right now. Cintiq would definitely help for streaming, so I wouldn't have to connect my iPad to my computer. And eyebrows, I already positioned these the way I needed them. And again, the reason why I go back over this is just to re-clean it. I could technically just use the head that's already underneath because I didn't really change this much at all. But I like to just go back over and add my own lines. And again, this you see how crazy I'm drawing this circle. Just watch and Procreate. Just hold it and it snaps in place. I'll make sure I choose circle. And so real simple. I remember when Procreate didn't have this. It was kind of hard to make a circle, so I figured out ways to do it, some shortcuts. But this is way better than the shortcuts that I had. And again, I don't even worry about making the circles perfect because I can just hold and and clean. Whoops, I accidentally moved that. Let's put it in place. Come back. Shape, circle, put it in place. I'm going to change this to canvas. Okay. Okay, my canvas disappeared on me. Let's see if I can get that to come back up real quick. Oops, there it was. And the only reason I'm doing this is just so I can see my overall image. Yeah, I'm still trying to get adjusted to using this canvas reference thing. As you can see, I'm not quite adjusted to it. Uh, yeah, okay. So next, I need to go in and just start adding the details. You can see I'm just adding a slight curve to where his arms are, and then the curve here. So you're looking at it from a side view, and then on the curve, so it shows that you're kind of looking up. I need to figure out how his body was. I can't remember. Okay, I know. So basically, this is the back leg. So I'll kind of do that just so you can tell. And then all I'm doing is just coming in and just adding the small, simple details. And the small, simple details just add up. And so with cartoons, well, it depends on how you decide to animate. You want to make sure that uh, you don't add too many details. But if you're doing like a character rig, because again, you got to move all these pieces, and if you have to redraw everything, you want to make sure that you don't have a ton to redraw. And so for me, sometimes I actually hand draw frame by frame the animation, so I want to keep the characters as simple as possible. But if you're doing a character rig, you can get by with doing quite a bit. Now I can't even remember what his shoes look like. I think that this is what it was. Yeah, I think that's how his shoes were. I can't remember. And I'll just add the laces here. And again, just keep it so simple that it doesn't even matter. You can just come back and change later. And that's another reason why you want to have a model, like a character sheet of all your characters, because you will forget the details. When you start working on a ton of things, you will forget the details of your characters. So if you have to redraw it, you want a reference that you can look at to make sure you know what you're drawing. And add a little dimple there. And boom, I'll close that. And that's a cleaned render of my man Big Head Charles. I'll frame it just right. And again, just keeping it simple. Here, I'll zoom in on it. Uh, and this is the way I just go about just start, to do quite a lot of work. You want to work smarter and harder. Scrooge McDuck thing, he says work smarter, not harder. But you want to do both. You want to work hard, but you want to work smart. So that way, so you have a character that's to model, that's to scale. And I could throw this, I could animate this, I could do a variety of things with this. And this will be a finished product, so to speak, before I add color. I'm not going to add color right now, but the coloring process is actually very simple with Procreate. All I have to do is just drag and drop. So, but I'm not going to do that right now. But anyway, just thank you guys for just tuning in. If you have any questions or anything that you would like to know, definitely let me know. Shoot me a message on this video, or just shoot me a DM or something, and we'll keep it cracking. Anyway, till next time, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. You probably couldn't hear the music in the background, but it's all good. Anyway, have a good weekend. Take care.